graphic recording?
Well, graphic recording is a way of turning words and concepts and ideas and metaphors into visual art as a record or as a design tool. So for all sorts of things, it can be a mind map or kind of a visual representation of what someone's talking about or saying. It's often done live as the person is talking and doing their speech or talk or whatever.
And why would they want you to do that?
Well, they might be doing a talk. There might be someone at a conference who's doing a talk about something, and their talk, it would sort of bring their words to life a bit. So it might be a long talk about something. I did one before for a lady who was talking about her life story, or telling her life story or her professional life story, and I did a sort of a yellow brick road across the pages and turned her story into a visual map so that everyone who was watching could relate to it more and see it visually, and to help people stay engaged as people are talking.
That's interesting. And what other events have you done this for?
I've used them. I've done graphic recording before to harvest something called the World Cafe, which is a way of hosting conversations about things that matter between all sorts of people. At the end of these World Cafes, there's something called a harvest, where a lot of the ideas are brought together and spoken out with everyone in the group, because before everyone's been at little tables. So I would often draw as people were talking about the outcomes from the cafe, so the plans or the steps for the future or whatever. So I would be drawing as people are speaking, so that at the end of the event we've got something that can be referred to remember what's happened.
So you brought a lot of things together in that way?
Yes, exactly, yeah.
And you did it as a summer to coaching conference as well, didn't you? What did you do there?
I've done it at 2 coaching conferences. One of them was the Euro Coach conference, and that was, I did talks for some speakers. Actually, some of these pictures behind me are about that. I'll talk about that later. And also I did it for a coaching supervision event in Oxford. So I've done it at a few different ones. I also did graphic recording at World Cafe at the Bioneers Conference in San Rafael, which is an international conference of eco-scientists and interesting speakers on all sorts of environmental issues.
And what does it give to the speakers?
Well, it gives them a resource that they can use in their profession afterwards, so they could use it on their website or to show other people what their work is, or they could use it. They can make a video out of it. They can make a video out of it to put on their website of the things that they do. So a map, I could make a map of what they're talking about, or a graphic recorder would make a map of what they're talking about, so that they can use that on their website.
And what are the tools of the trade?
What are the tools of the trade? So if you want to do graphic recording, you need, well, flip chart paper is pretty good. You can use things like paper tablecloths if you want one big sheet, or you can use sort of better quality art paper to either stick or blue tack to a wall, or you can use a series of flip chart stands, like maybe 3 in a row, so that you can do a series of pictures. So you put your flip charts up. So you've got some blank sheets ready to begin. Sometimes you might already have prepared some pictures ready for the talk that you would then add to, dependent on what the speaker wanted. So also you need some markers. You don't want permanent markers, you want sort of flip chart markers to do the outlines or to bring things out stronger. And then lastly you want some crayons. These ones from a shop called Staples in England are pretty good and quite cheap for colouring in and adding detail. So that's the sort of thing you want.
So it's as simple as that?
Yeah, I've often put a waist belt around my waist so that I can just grab my crayons out of the belt to my waist.
Like a carpenter's toolkit.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. And what are your tips for graphic recorders?
Okay, well, first thing is to see if you want to graphically record an event of any kind, it's to see what your client or the person wanting the recording done wants, and to ask them first, have they got any metaphors that they use? Like one lady, like I said before, she had a yellow brick road as her metaphor, so I already had that prepared. So I could go in and think about that and look at images of that. So I had some images ready to draw, like, that I already knew. So yeah, so find out the metaphors. If you can, for a presentation, find out, get their presentation first, their notes of the presentation first, so that you know what they'll be saying beforehand.
And where they're going.
Yeah. Also, sometimes if it's quite a quick succession of concepts, I'll draw something, the outline of something, leave that thing that I've drawn. I might draw this, this bomb here about the explosion. I just draw the outline, and then someone moves on to something about about being connected from our hearts, and then I'd have to leave that, and then I'd come back to that, still as those less actions or less new concepts. Or I'd finish colouring it afterwards as well. I've done that before, where you do it and then you define it afterwards.
Has something just come up at the moment? I remember the one where somebody mentioned the elephant in the room, and the next thing there was an elephant in the room.
Yeah.
So this is all very interesting. Do you want to tell us about all of this?
I don't even quite remember all of them. Some of them, as well as graphic recording for events and things, I design flyers and things, so this was a flyer. So some of the smaller ones are more sort of detailed. I've taken longer over them. And they're kind of resources for other work that I do, just visuals for other work that I do. This one was a design for my university degree about the different aspects I wanted to bring into my degree, and things that I've done. This was now where I was at then, I guess, and this was an overview of my whole year plan, I think. This was the different phases and smaller aspects, so that was a map for myself.
What about this one? Was that the sort of thing you do for somebody else?
Yeah, this is one of the ones from the Eurocoach conference where they were talking about, I can't even quite remember, but they were talking about circles of influence and where energy flows, and so I was drawing that as the speaker was talking at that conference. Yeah. And these are also just little bits I ripped out of bigger ones that I wanted to keep. This was a map. This was a personal design map again too. This one wasn't meant to look really good or anything. This one's just a map for myself so that I knew what I was doing in this running of a workshop called Lighting Fires, which was a 4-day workshop for teenagers. There was all the different elements. And
so Amelia, you're a very good artist. What tips do you have for people for learning to do lovely recording like this? The other ones I've seen online have just been examples have just been little stick men in black and white, and this is amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Just sit and doodle all the time when people are talking. When you go to a good way of practicing is whenever you find yourself listening to a talk or watching something that's inspiring, make notes. I've got notebooks full of this stuff that I just did as I was listening, just as a practice or as a way of integrating what I'm hearing.
So that's your form of note-taking,
that's my form,
doing this sort of stuff.
But for someone who isn't, you don't have to be a really good artist to be able to do this, I don't think. You can look online for, little symbols, and you can make your own library of symbols, whether you can print them out or whatever, so that you know what you do when you want to represent someone who's feeling excited. And then you have your symbol for someone who's scared, or that kind of thing. Or there's also books that have good things like that. There's one about visual mind mapping that's very good. I don't remember the name of the author, but there's a few different mind mapping books which are really helpful, like Tony Bazan's mind mapping books and all sorts, that can help with learning how to different ways of laying things out on the page.
And why do you use so much colour?
Well, because it's kind of the antidote to an excess of very black and white PowerPoint presentations that often happen in events and workshops. So it's what I offer. Someone else can make a PowerPoint presentation. Someone else can make a PowerPoint presentation